All rise. This is Sports Bettor Court with Dan Lust on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back to our second episode of the Sports Bettor Court. I am your judge, Dan Lust, and this is a show where we have some fun. We take some sports betting lines, best 2 out of 3, a little bit of sports betting, a little bit of law, our brand of sports betting law. Now, before we get into it, we have 2 combatants today. Mike Randle will be our returning champion. He will be back alongside John McKechnie, the challenger. Now, before we get into the betting topics of the day, let's talk a little bit sports law. This is the dead time of the summer. We have no football, no basketball, but we do have golf. Big story today in our golf world. Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer of all time, is in the headlines. This time, I think, for a good reason. Now, I think probably some people have heard of the lawsuit as of between Tiger Woods and his ex-girlfriend, a $30 million wrongful eviction case. Now, before I give you the overview of that case, let me kind of explain this 2023 day and age, my opinion of this social media beat. A lot of people see the headlines. They don't actually read the case. They don't follow up to see what the disposition is. This was a case that made headlines for Tiger Woods evicting his girlfriend from his giant mansion, his $50 million estate. She sued him for $30 million, alleging she had, I think, 6 years left on an oral agreement to be able to stay in this crazy mansion. Now, we'll certainly get into the facts of this case, but what I do find very interesting is this case, right? There's an NDA, we can get into the specifics, but Erica Herman was alleging that there was some element of sexual assault and sexual abuse that allowed her to be in an open courtroom and litigating this in front of everyone, in front of the media. Now, there were some outlets that ran with the story and saying Tiger Woods, at it again, add this to his list of things that cloud his legacy as a golfer. Now, if you just read that headline and you did not follow up, you did not listen to this update today, maybe you're out there thinking, Tiger Woods, yeah, great on the golf course, but off the course, he's got all these issues. Today, that lawsuit for wrongful eviction was dropped by his ex-girlfriend. The judge there ruled that she had ample opportunity to show a pattern of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and they were vague and threadbare allegations with nothing else. Erica Herman, Tiger Woods' girlfriend for, I think, 5 years, just about, has now dropped that case. So unless you're following up a sports show just like this, you didn't know that. So I look a little bit of facts here, and I think it's just helpful for an overall procedure, knowing what's going on. If you really want to know what goes on in sports law, obviously you go to the right place. You go to the Sports Bettor Court. Tiger Woods and Erica Herman started dating in 2017, according to the complaint. In 2022, Tiger Woods made headlines, or the lawsuit made headlines when she was I think the word was some trickery used to kick her out of the house and then lock her out. She sued for $30 million, alleging that there was 6 years left on an alleged 11-year oral tenancy. So you ask yourself, what's an 11-year oral tenancy? Erica Herman was alleging that Tiger Woods said that she could stay at his mansion for 11 years. There was no contract, just kind of an oral saying, you could stay here for another 6 years. That case has now been thrown out. Erica Herman was seeking to get out of that NDA and get into a court to tell everybody about her case, sexual assault, sexual abuse. Judge was not buying it. That has been thrown out. And that clears the way for Tiger to get out of these bad headlines and maybe back on the course at some point. Not the Open Championship coming up here, but maybe soon. Tiger will emerge from this cloud of off-course headlines. But yeah, again, you come here for the real facts. This case is now dismissed, and we get back to talking about sports. So when we come back here, we'll bring in the competitors for the battle on Sports Bettor Court.
The Detroit Lions select Sam Laporta, tight end, Iowa.
Had to go with your boy Sam Laporta there to pair with TJ Hawkinson.
Sammy, I couldn't double down on rookie tight ends. I think that's taking a little too far.
This could be one of the most exciting rookie tight end classes in a while, just based on the archetypes of these guys, and the Dalton Kincaids and the Sam Laportas. Obviously, Green Bay drafted 2 themselves with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. So after Kincaid, I would say is probably the consensus with tight ends. Like, who do you like as far as the best ball, like end of best ball? Do you like Laporta, or is there anybody else you like more?
I do like Laporta. We're looking for guys that can be a top 2 target on their team. So any path, any argument you could make, right? So you can make the argument that Dalton Kincaid is going to be a top 2 target with after Stephon Diggs. You can make an argument that with Jamison Williams suspended, now Sam Laporta is just going to play straight up wide receiver. He looks like a wide receiver. Why can't he line up out wide at split end, right? It's like Marvin Jones and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would also throw another name in the ring, and I don't mind, since we're doing this for the fans, for the kids. He's still on the board. Luke Musgrave on your Packers. They're not super loaded at wide receiver. We like the guy Reed they drafted, but you never know. So why can't Luke Musgrave be a big slot? In fact, they drafted 2 tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. Tucker Kraft is more of an inline guy. They might just go 2 tight ends right away. Tucker Kraft inline, Luke Musgrave in the slot. Why can't he be a target monster for Jordan Love? So those are the guys, those are the conditions that you need for a rookie tight end to succeed. They need to not only be the best pass catching tight end on the team, but a top 2 pass catcher on the team outright. That's how you get Kyle Pitts. Evan Ingram as a rookie was top 5 because Odell Beckham Jr. hurt his knee 4 weeks into the year. So that's the formula. We're looking for guys that can actually be a top target right away. Otherwise, we're playing the sit and wait long-term game, which is what you're doing with guys like Michael Mayer.
All rise for Sports Bettor Court with Dan Lust on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back. We are back again. Sports Bettor Court. We are taking time to bring in the litigants here. Before we do that, BetMGM. Get $1,000 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win by using fantasyalarm.com/BetMGM. Okay, Bailiff. I think we can bring in our competitors here and see them. Mike, John, you guys didn't dress up for court? You didn't dress up for Judge Lust? Did you get the memo?
I'm sporting FTN wear here, so near and dear to my heart. The motivating clothing.
Well, this thing has a collar on it, so I felt like that counted, and got to represent the now, as of this afternoon, first place Baltimore Orioles. So that explains the wardrobe choice.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe a suit and tie next time, but at least I got the button down. You guys got at least one collar between you. That's all good. Mike, you are our returning champion here. John, you are our challenger. Here are the rules for those that don't remember. We play best 2 out of 3. We pick 3 bets. I decide who makes the best point, best argument between the 2. The audience can decide if they actually want to make these bets, but I will tell you which one it was at least articulated the best, the most persuasive argument. So bet number 1 on the table. We go over to college football, the Heisman Trophy. Mike, you are our defending champion. Give us your pick for the Heisman Trophy winner.
Dan, just because it's the favorite doesn't make it a bad bet. It's Caleb Williams, the quarterback from USC. And listen, I know what you're going to say. No one has won back-to-back Heisman since 1974, 1975 with Archie Griffin. But if anybody can do it, it is Williams. He now is connected to Lincoln Riley for a second year here. You have a motivated team that lost to Utah, wasn't in the college football playoffs. You have a quarterback in Caleb Williams who can run. You have a guy who can throw. He had 52 touchdowns last year, over 300 yards on the ground, and he's motivated. He's projected to be the number 1 draft pick here, and you're getting at plus 500, plus 550. The only argument against it is it's back-to-back. But you have a great coach. You have a prolific passer. You have someone who won the Heisman last year, and you have a motivated team. This guy can run. He can throw. I'm going with Caleb Williams, even though he's the favorite.
I don't mind it, Mike. I don't mind it. John, don't tell me you have the second biggest favorite on the board. Who you got?
I do not. I'm going with a guy who has yet to make his first college start, but I'm expecting him to put on a show this year. And for me, my favorite Heisman bet is Drew Aller, the quarterback of Penn State. For me, it starts with there is a through line with Heisman winners. You got to be on a good team, right? And Penn State, I think this year is really uniquely positioned where they get Michigan at home. Ohio State on the road is going to be tough, but therein lie 2 opportunities for Aller to truly put himself on the map. He was a 5-star recruit in the 2022 cycle, played a little bit last year, threw 4 touchdowns on 60 attempts. So, I mean, there's a little bit of juice there already. I'm a little bit concerned about what that receiver room looks like with Parker Washington being gone. But at the same time, you have the quarterback of a team that is going to be in the college football playoff rankings and, kind of the tip of the spear for them. So I felt like at 25-1, which is what we're looking at here, I think that we're going to see those odds come way down by the end of September. And I think he's going to introduce himself to the running very quickly. So this is a number that I want to chase now.
Okay, so let's unpack both of these. So I think you said Michigan at home and Ohio State on the road, John?
Yes.
Okay. Last time a Penn State football player won the Heisman Trophy, when was it?
That would have been the 90s.
Over under 1960.
I will take. Well, what's the over in this one? Is it more recent?
That's a fair point. 1952, the last time a Penn State Nittany Lion has won the Heisman Trophy. And I think the reason I bring up the home road against Michigan, Ohio State, I'm pretty sure since 1952, they've had Michigan at home and Ohio State on the road. We've been here, Penn State, if we're doing our numbers here, I think last year in the Big Ten, they were fourth in passing attempts. So it's not like they have the air raid offense over there, but 25-1, there might be some value. John, let me go back to you. You did say it. Archie Griffin, 1974, 1975, the only guy to win back-to-back. But, we've had 35 years since then, maybe more than that. My math is probably not checking out. Almost 40 years. What makes him the guy to do it?
Well, I'd say this. He has everything that you need. If you wanted a quarterback that's accurate, 67% completion percentage. You want a quarterback that's prolific, 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. You want a quarterback that's mobile, 10 rushing touchdowns, 382 yards on the ground. You want a top 10 team? That's what USC is. You want a team that has something to prove? That's what USC has after losing to Utah 43-42. And you want a great offensive mastermind? You have Lincoln Riley. Check. It checks all the boxes. And the odds, plus 500, plus 550, not as high as the other candidates, but still high enough. He wins this. If we run this season, Dan, 5 times, he wins it at least once, which gives me value in that number.
See, I like the confidence here. I mean, let's do this. I think I'm ready to render a decision here, but we're just looking at Caleb Williams' stats, right? He's got the 1 year at Oklahoma. He's got the 2nd year at USC. But just like, you follow the judge here, we see upward momentum, 64% passing rate, 66% his next year, 21 touchdowns the first year, 42 passing the second year. So we're seeing an upward trajectory here, as we saw, right, with Nikola Jokic over in the NBA. To win back-to-back, you have to really go above and beyond that next year. John, I'll give it to you here as we wrap this up. Now, I don't think I'm buying Drew Aller at 25-1, but the question really here for me, I mean, maybe I'll take a flyer, but at 5.5-1, sell me. Why should I not be taking Caleb Williams here? What is the downside to who is probably the best player in all of college football?
Expectations. We're talking about a guy who has to defend the belt, essentially. And I believe that Caleb Williams does have the goods to do that. I'm a big fan of his work. He's incredible to watch. But I think that USC has a really tough schedule. Oregon's on there. They're going to have to go to Notre Dame. Those expectations, USC lost a couple of times last year. They got, kind of bullied in the Pac-12 championship game against Utah and still was able to win the Heisman Trophy because, we had some other instances, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young falling by the wayside just a little bit, allowed Williams to surge there at the top at the end of the season. But if USC essentially has no margin for error, so Caleb Williams not only is going to have to match or beat what he did last year, and that they're not going to have Travis Dye holding down that backfield. Jordan Addison's obviously gone. They've had some transfers in that receiver room. It's going to be tough for him to completely replicate it. I'm not doubting that he can, but I think you have to at least acknowledge the difficulty that is in front of him with what he has to prove to the Heisman voters.
I think that's very fair, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but certainly in our history, you've had someone come back to school after winning the Heisman, and usually that guy is going to be the favorite the next year. But as we just pointed out with Archie Griffin, right, no one has done it. Now, health permitting, it's always the bet here with a physical style like that as a runner. You got to be a little bit concerned. But speaking of defending the belt, Mike, for round 1, I think he did an admirable job over here. We have Jaden Daniels. We have Quinn Ewers. I'm not loving 2-3. I think there's such a big gap between Caleb Williams and the crowd. I think at 5.5-1 here, I kind of like those odds here. So health permitting, I do like the bet. Mike, round 1 goes to you. Okay. Now, gentlemen, stay here. You ready for this? Okay, let us take it over to professional football. Now, we can talk about a number of different divisions. I'm sure we will on the show over the course of the next few weeks. But I want to start with the division of the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the AFC West is going to be hard fought. I remember last year, some people were picking the Kansas City Chiefs to finish last in that division. We won't call out those people, but the judge keeps notes over here. He keeps it tally. Now, let's ask this. I imagine, right? Somebody likes the Chiefs here, but I imagine maybe there's some other picks here. So, John, I'm going to go with you. Who do you got? Chiefs, Chargers, anybody else? You tell me who you like for the AFC West.
So I like the Chiefs in this one. Obviously, that they are the favorites, and you're talking about paying juice on a futures bet, minus 165. So I mean that's pretty substantial when you're talking about something that you're hoping to be cashing in January. But they still have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce at the peak of their powers. I think they're going to get the deal done with Chris Jones to bolster that defense and keep that side of the ball top notch. I think that there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the rest of this division in a way that there kind of weren't last year, and we were wrong on that. Everyone buying in on the Raiders and the Broncos. Those teams have kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of looking at the AFC West for this year. So it really comes down to the Chiefs and the Chargers, and the Chargers always give the Chiefs a good game. Maybe they steal one here, but I still think at the end of the day, that this division runs through Kansas City, and until we see otherwise, I can't do anything to make this bet other than just betting on Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City.
Okay, Mike, who you got?
Oh, I got the Chargers. And if there's any team that the Chiefs don't want to see, it's the Chargers. 3 of the last 5 times they played in Arrowhead, Chargers have won. The last 3 games that have been played in home of the Chargers have been overtime, and a 3-point win by Kansas City. The Chargers want to play the Chiefs. They're ready. They draft Quentin Johnston. They now have 3 big-time wide receivers in Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnston. And oh, by the way, they got rid of Joe Lombardi with that archaic offense. And here comes Kellen Moore from the Cowboys. Why was Kellen Moore let go from the Cowboys? Because he passed too much. Now they have Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler is back on an incentive-based deal, and the defense is better. We talked about it. The defense is better. Derwin James, remember him body slamming Travis Kelce? They have the players to match up with the Chiefs. You're going to give me plus 340 with this Chargers team. All I need, Dan, is a little bit of injury regression that they can actually stay healthy, and Rashawn Slater doesn't go off the offensive line, and this team is ready to overtake the Chiefs coming off the Super Bowl championship.
Okay, I like it. Chargers, I think, are the next best team there. I remember there was some psychos, some loonies, some that would come in front of me and plead insanity that were like the Broncos last year and had the Chiefs kind of way down the totem pole here. But I think we could just talk pure numbers, right? I don't think, and again, this is a little bit different than our previous conversation with Caleb Williams, right? But if you just look at the Chiefs, right, we're going back since 2016. The Chiefs have won the division every single year, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Now, in 2019, they won the Super Bowl. The next year, guys, in 2020, Chiefs went 14-2 in their title defense. So I know, John, you were saying, it's always the Chiefs and the Chargers at the end. It's always the Chargers kind of dropping the ball and messing things up. Mike, let me go to you here. What makes this year the year for the Chargers? They have Herbert. They have everyone. They've always had the piece in place. But what's to make this year to get them over the hump?
It's regression to the mean. You know that, Judge. You know that things will regress and that things are going forward. They're going to come back, whether it's positive or negative. They just need to have reasonable health, and their defense is better than the Chiefs. They have a great quarterback, not as great as Mahomes, but a great quarterback. They have great weapons. They added one on the outside. They have Donald Parham, who's a 6'9" tight end that was hurt all of last year, and they have a solid offensive line. Give me some regression. Finally, Chargers fans, give me health. They have proven it, even with injuries, that they can win in Kansas City 3 of the last 5 years.
It's not about beating Kansas City, though. It's about beating everybody else. And there's health, and then there's also mental health and mental coaching errors, which Chargers can't get over themselves. John, I'm leaning here. I'm leaning you. Tell me why this is not the year for the Chargers. I think that's the main competition here.
Well, when the big kind of center point of backing the Chargers has to do with health, I can't get behind it. They seem to be more snake bitten than about anybody when it comes to the injury luck. But beyond that, I just believe that this is a Chiefs team that Yes, they take the best game from the Chargers twice a year. That's obvious, but they also take care of business every other week of the season. Whereas the Chargers, they seem to always get up for the Chiefs, and then they let a few games slip away. They get beat by other teams that are on the same level as them. So I'm expecting more of the same when it comes to the Chargers. I hope that they stay healthy. I'm very invested in them for fantasy. I think they're a very fun team to watch, but I think that this is a Chargers team that just isn't quite there yet to beat the bully for David to slay Goliath.
I think so. I think last year was the year without Tyreek, and if they couldn't do it last year, I'm not sure how they do it this year. Sign me up. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, not Brittany Mahomes, get her out of here. Travis Kelce, I'll take the Chiefs. John, I'm rolling with you. 1-1 as we head into the break, and then we come back. The rubber match, round 3.
I feel like this is a quietly contentious point in dynasty fantasy football, what it means to actually be rebuilding. Some people say you should never truly be rebuilding. How do you view the rebuilding versus competing dichotomy in dynasty?
So I will be the first person to acknowledge that my preferred format or fantasy football is just redraft. The years that I have played dynasty, it has been I've drafted a win now team because I've seen people that have just gotten into the cycle of rebuilding and thus they just don't make any progress. So if you're rebuilding for the 5th year in a row, I just, I don't know exactly how you get out of it, but yeah, it's definitely something that can happen. And a lot of people, especially when we come out of the NFL draft, everyone's just instantly shipping off, draft picks and everything. So, I mean, it's definitely something that can happen.
Joey, do you feel similarly to it? Do you feel like you see people getting stuck in the rebuilding loop?
I mean, I would say people that try to rebuild in the beginning of seasons, of their fantasy seasons, I see them get stuck in that rut. I would really try to only ever rebuild if I knew I was going to miss the playoffs. Like, I'm always trying to play to win, even if it's maybe I don't know.
I think my big thing is the word rebuild is a much shorter time frame than I think most people say it should be. Like, they look at rebuild as like 3 years out competing. Rebuild, you're looking to compete next season. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing it now, you're looking to revamp, and maybe there's a one season where you ship it off, but that very next season you should be competing. If you're doing it like that, I'm cool with it, but you gotta have a plan, not just keep getting the young players, keep getting the draft picks. Otherwise, you end up like Tim. Maybe not like Tim who gets a bye, but you make the playoffs, you're in that like 4 to 6 range every year, just hovering in the middle. Nothing ever gets better, nothing ever gets worse.
I think I play like you in Dynasty, Simon. I play in 3-year windows.
100%. That's my go-to. And with the rate at which Dynasty leagues turn over, you should really only ever play in a 3-year window.
All rise for Sports Bettor Court with Dan Lust on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back to round number 3. Again, a reminder, Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer over at FTN Network, obviously last week's defending champ, and John McKechnie, College Football and Sports Betting Editor for RotoWire. Before we get to round 3, Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription has everything you need for football season, including the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Football Draft Guide, your cheat sheet, and one-stop shop for dominating your drafts. It's digital, constantly updated with new information. Purchase the draft guide for $26.99 or get it free with a monthly or annual subscription to Fantasy Alarm. Start your free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm All-Pro and get immediate free access to the draft guide. Go to fantasyalarm.com. Gentlemen, we are back. We are back. At some point, we'll get an upgrade on the show. They'll give us a few more dollars to spend here. And I think we can get a bailiff to really kind of throw the loser in the slammer. But for our purposes here, get ready. The winner gets to do a little bit of a shout. Some programs they're working on, some things in the works over here as we get closer to football season. The weeks are counting down. Now, we are in the heart of football season's over here, basketball over here, in the heart of baseball season. The story captivating everyone, at least for a period of time. Ellie De La Cruz took the world by storm, but is he going to win the Rookie of the Year? Now, baseball diehards will know Corbin Carroll's been there the entire time. Number 2 prospect when the year first started. Guys, NL Rookie of the Year. Who wants Ellie? Who wants Corbin?
I'll take Ellie.
Go ahead, Mike. Defend your crown over here.
Ellie De La Cruz has been the biggest impact player in baseball with a debut that we've seen in years. Now, look, I know Carroll is well ahead of him. I get that. Over 200 more plate appearances. But if anyone's going to come from behind, it's the profile of Ellie De La Cruz. Oh, he just stole second, third, and home again. You can get him at plus 800 on FanDuel. He's bigger, stronger. He's actually hitting above Carroll right now at 288. I know Carroll's the favorite, but he did have some shoulder issues before the All-Star break. I understand Carroll is the heavy favorite, but if someone's going to be a long shot, and we like long shots on this show, De La Cruz is the guy. He's got a better lineup around him in Cincinnati. He's been an impact player. Once he gets rolling down the stretch, if the Reds start getting hot and moving ahead here and doing well, De La Cruz is at the center. He has the profile, especially he's at 500 to 1 in a lot of places, plus 800. I'll take him over Carroll.
John, we're laying a lot of juice here. Minus 500. You think this is just the lock of the century? Is that all it comes down to?
Other than Ohtani, yes. I mean, we're talking about Corbin Carroll in not just the NL Rookie of the Year space, but like he's in the top 5 in the NL MVP overall. And obviously, he has the leg up on Ellie as far as, service time, having, broken camp with the Diamondbacks. But, I'm being put in a tough spot on this show. Caleb Williams went to my high school. I'm like a huge Caleb Williams guy. And now I have to poke holes in Ellie De La Cruz, the most fun player in baseball. It's a tough scene over here, but I got to do it. There was a tweet the other week that was kind of like, Ellie De La Cruz, have you seen his launch angle? It's not going to hold up. And I viscerally reacted to it. I'm like, I can't stand people like this. But at the same time, you look at the underlying numbers when it comes to Ellie, and while he is electric when he's on the base paths, he's striking out almost a third of the time. That's just not great, and I don't really see that turning around mid-season and him chopping into that strikeout rate and getting it under 30%. So you're worried about that. You're talking about Carroll being the kind of MVP on the among position players on the Diamondbacks, a team that is well positioned to make the postseason this year. If Carroll is the driving force there, then I think that he runs away with this award. I mean, he's doing everything you could ask. He's hitting close to 300. He's second in the National League in triples, 900 OPS. I mean, he does it all. Mike brought up a great point in regards to that shoulder injury. I was very concerned about that last weekend going into the All-Star break, but it seems like the time off has allowed him to get back up to speed. He's been having a very prolific week this week, so I'm hoping that the shoulder is no longer an issue. And if that is ultimately the case, we got 2 more months of electric production from him. I love it.
Let me stop you there, John. So I guess this is the tricky part. I wish this was an argument where Ellie's kind of rate stats were better and it was just an issue of small sample size, but we're not looking at that. I think what was kind of been lost, and John, you kind of pointed it out, right? Overall, the numbers are just better, right? OPS of 786 for Ellie De La Cruz since he came up. Corbin Carroll, a robust 900. I'll give you another one. The judge does some research over here. Since June 24th, so after that really hard start that everyone was talking about. So in his last 20 games for Ellie De La Cruz, June 24th to the present, 235 batting average, 258 on base, 318 slugging. Those are not good numbers. We are certainly heading down. Now, Mike, sell me here, though. Ellie De La Cruz is the number 2 here. I think the next closest guy in the betting odds is 34 to 1. What scenario has to happen for De La Cruz to take this crown? I think Corbin Carroll's really just just can't play anymore. I think that's almost it.
Well, here's the thing. When you bet a long shot, guys, it's a long shot for a reason. Is it fun to bet the favorites in the NCAA tournament? You want someone who's live in those early round games, and Ellie De La Cruz will be live. Yes, Carroll has to get hurt, and yes, he strikes out a lot, but he has an exciting profile. The stolen bases are there. He's electric. And remember, these awards are also a team award to a certain extent. I believe that's true. So all I need is the better lineup to get going here, the Reds to move forward, Carroll maybe to get hurt. The question is, Judge, do you want him at minus 500, or do you want to take a shot here on a long shot who has the profile that when he plays every day, he can have electric moments in the second half of the season?
Funny story. I know a guy that bets the number 1 seeds to beat the 16 seeds, and just don't ask him what happened a couple of years ago at Virginia. That was a bad day in his household. Still married, but bad day in the house. Now, that's the logic you have to think about when you bet a minus 500. I might be of the opinion if Corbin Carroll doesn't have another at-bat this year, he still may be in the running. I mean, he's such a big lead here. So, John, sell me on this. Let's say you don't want to put your money in the stock market. You want to bet the entire house on Corbin Carroll. How confident are you feeling? Do you see any route where he does not win this award?
The only route is the shoulder injury coming back or something else cropping up, it leading to a long stint on the injured list, because you watch this guy play, he does it all. Total 5-tool player, leading this resurgent Diamondbacks team. I mean, both these guys are, the face of these exciting young rebuilds. So, I mean, I totally understand the case for De La Cruz in that sense. And the NL Central is a little bit more wide open to an extent than the West. I mean, the Diamondbacks are battling it out with the Dodgers. I kind of expect the Dodgers to win out overall, but I mean, hey, if Corbin Carroll is the guy that kind of helps push the Diamondbacks into relevancy and into the postseason this year, it's going to be really, really difficult for anyone to jump him for this award.
This is tough, very tough. I mean, Corbin's sitting there right now, basically at 2020. I don't even know if he has to play again. I think he can have Ellie De La Cruz's last 20 games. I think he can have that the rest of the year and still be okay. But listen, on this betting show, we pick winners and losers. This is tough. This is a tough one. Mike, you're a defending champ. John coming in here, coming out swinging. I think I'm going to have to go with the new guy, John. John, taking it down. Listen, minus 500. I can never tell someone to take a minus 500 bet unless it's basically a lock here. You can't just throw money in flyers just for a hope and a prayer and sling it up. John, congrats. Your first win on our show. Mike, we're not throwing you in prison. That's your bird bath like they used to give on Price is Right. You get something. You get a bird bath. You don't get thrown in prison. John, what are you working on? What's going on? You working on any draft prep guides? What do you got going on for the 20 upcoming seasons, 2023?
Okay, so we have our draft kit, live up on the site over on rotowire.com. If you want to check out the website, we do free trials, 48 hours. Check out all the tools that we have. I think that we have amazing stats and information, great layout, very user-friendly display. So check out our draft kit. You can download the app on iOS and on the Google Play Store as well. And then I've been working on our college football projections for the upcoming season. So check those out if you are crazy enough to play in season-long college fantasy football leagues, or if you're more of the casual DFS player. In season, we have an awesome suite of tools, projections, rankings, all that good stuff on the rotowire.com/cfootball area. And we're also doing a partnership with Fantasy Cares, obviously the charity tied to the Scott Fish Bowl. So if you check out a free trial, we will donate $1 per every free trial over the course of this next month. So we're hoping to really donate a lot of money and get a lot of people to check out our site over at RotoWire.
Good stuff, John. Mike, sorry you have to give away that championship belt. You had it for a week. We'll cover your shipping and handling over to John over here. That'll do it for our second episode of Sports Bettor Court. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on social media at Bettor Network. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week, Wednesdays, 6 o'clock.